the Feynman in this lecture. In this lecture, we're going to we're going to briefly introduce the concept of the Feynman diagram. So instead of concerning ourselves with the rigorous details of how to actually draw the Feynman diagram, we're simply going to introduce what the Feynman diagram is and what it actually represents. So the Feynman diagram is basically a tool that is used in particle physics, and it was invented by the American physicist Richard Feynman, and it came from the theory of quantum electrodynamics known as QED. Now, quantum electrodynamics is basically a theory that incorporates quantum mechanics and the special theory of relativity. And the Feynman diagram is basically used to describe the way that particles interact with one another on the subatomic level in a quantum mechanical way. So we know that from classical physics, for example, if we take two electrons, those two electrons will repel one another, and we say that they repel one another as a result of an electromagnetic force. And the way that we represent that electromagnetic force is by using electric and magnetic fields. Now, in quantum electrodynamics, things get a bit more complicated, and in quantum electrodynamics, instead of using fields, we use the Feynman diagram to represent the way that our particles actually interact with one another. So Feynman diagrams take into consideration both quantum mechanics and the special theory of relativity. So this is one example of the Feynman diagram. So this is a basic Feynman diagram, and the Feynman diagram has the y-axis that gives us the time and the x-axis that gives us our position. So as we go up along the y-axis, our time increases. As we go from left to right, our position increases along the x-axis. So let's now take those same two electrons and let's try to diagram the interaction that takes place between those two electrons using the Feynman diagram. So basically, these are our two electrons, and as time progresses, these two electrons get closer to one another. So on the Feynman diagram, the way that we represent a particle is by using a solid line as shown by these two arrows. So as time increases, they get closer to one another. Now eventually what will happen is we get to a point where one of our electrons releases a photon of light, a photon of energy that is depicted by this wiggly line. And when this electron, let's say this electron releases or emits that photon of light, when that electron emits that light, by the law of conservation of energy, when this photon travels this way, this electron will recoil and travel in this direction. So we can imagine that the photon shoots a bullet, and when this bullet travels this way, the electron recoils and travels in this direction. Now, what happens to this electron at this moment? So basically, this electron gains this photon of energy, and when it gains that photon of energy by the law of conservation of momentum, we know that the second electron will also deviate. It will also recoil and travel in a different direction. So we see that in quantum electrodynamics, the way that our two electrons interact is via a photon of energy, and we can think of this photon of energy as carrying this electromagnetic force. So, once again, as the two electrons approach one another, one of the electrons emits a photon of energy, which changes the electron's direction. So this is by the law of conservation of energy. Now or momentum. The second electron absorbs that photon, and so it also deflects, it recoils, and moves off in a different direction. So if we examine these two vertices where our lines basically intersect, at these vertices we have the law of conservation of momentum that readily holds. Now from this diagram we see that there is an electromagnetic force that acts as a result of these two electrons being in close proximity, and at least from the quantum mechanical perspective we see that this electromagnetic force is actually a result of the exchange of photons between our two electrons. So this photon can be thought to carry this electromagnetic force. So this photon is known as a virtual photon because unlike a free photon, the virtual photon shown here cannot actually be measured experimentally. We cannot observe this virtual photon experimentally. So this photon is released by one particle and absorbed by the other and cannot be readily observed experimentally, while free photons can. So such a photon is known as a virtual photon, and this virtual photon is said to carry or mediate the electromagnetic force that causes these two electrons to repel one another. So we see that in classical physics, we imagine this electromagnetic force to act over a distance, and we represent the electromagnetic force using fields, the concept of the electric and the magnetic field. But in quantum electrodynamics, we instead use the Feynman diagram to describe the way that our particles interact with one another, and we see that the force, specifically the electromagnetic force in this case, is carried by a photon of energy. Now if the electromagnetic force is carried by a photon, by a particle, we can imagine that other forces, such as the strong nuclear force, is also carried by a particle. So let's briefly describe the early model of the meson. So basically, we can use the Feynman diagram to describe the particle that carries the strong nuclear force. So if photons carry the electromagnetic force that keeps two electrons from actually physically colliding and touching one another, then that implies that there must exist some type of particle that carries the strong nuclear force. So if we go back to this diagram, we see that the particles, our electrons, do not actually physically touch another. So they get very close, but eventually when they get close enough, they repel because one of the electron releases that photon, and so it quickly recoils, and the other photon, the other electron, picks up that photon and also recoils. Now we can imagine that strong nuclear forces act in a very similar way. So let's take the following early model of the meson by looking at the Feynman diagram. So we have the proton and neutron, our two nucleons that feel a strong nuclear force when they get very close to one another. So we see that a Japanese physicist by the name of Hideki Yukawa originally hypothesized that when the proton and neutron interact with one another, they exchange a particle in the same way that these two electrons exchange a photon, the proton and the neutron was believed to exchange a particle we call the meson, or the meson particle. So it was believed, at least early on, that the meson is the particle that carries or mediates the strong nuclear force. Now today, the meson is known as the pi meson or the pion. And now we believe that it's not the meson that holds the strong nuclear force that carries that strong nuclear force, but rather it's the collision between two quarks that exchange the gluon that carries our strong nuclear force. So the gluon today is believed to hold or carry that strong nuclear force, and we're going to discuss that in greater detail in a future lecture. So now let's conclude what the Feynman diagram is, why is it used, and what does it actually represent. So, we know that in nature, there are four different types of forces. We have the electromagnetic force, the gravitational force, the strong nuclear force, and the weak nuclear force. So basically, the theory of quantum electrodynamics tells us that these interactions or forces can be understood as the exchange of different particles. And the Feynman diagram basically uses a graphical method to represent how these interactions, how these forces that exist between our subatomic particles actually interact with one another.